Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at Portrait Pro. We're going to be looking at the Studio Max version. This is Portrait Pro 18 and it's by Anthropics, and this is one of my favorite softwares as both as a photographer and a photo restorer. This is my go-to. I love it. So let's start out with opening a single image. We're just going to go ahead and open this one right here. And we're just going to go over some of the features of Portrait Pro 18. Some of you may have watched my Portrait Pro 17. This is the next version up. It's absolutely wonderful. Give it a minute to find our image and our faces. And I'm using a raw image here, which makes it take a little bit longer, but not too bad. And this is something that the Studio Max version does versus just the regular version. So what this is actually doing is it's locating her face, and you will see that there are blue lines around her features, and we're just going to adjust these some because we want these to match pretty closely. So I'm just going to kind of drag these to where they go. And these are pretty self-explanatory. You want this pinpoint here in the top of her arch on her eyebrows. It's a little off, but it's not bad. We're going to put that down some. All right, so this is the original here on the left, and on the right is the Portrait Pro version. The first thing that's a little bit different is you have snapshots here and presets. And presets allows you to do a quick fix. You can just go through, and I'll just click on some of them so you can see the difference. So that you can decide whether you want a large adjustment to this photo or just something very minor. I will say this is an application that you really have to practice with. If not, you can get a very overdone look. So we don't want that. So we're just going to reset it to the original image, and we're going to go into controls, and we're going to manually do some of these so that you can see how exactly this works. So the first one is face sculpting, and what this does is if I pull the master, it will adjust all these sliders, and as you can see, her face is getting smaller here towards the bottom. We don't want anything that drastic, so we're just going to shape it just a little bit. And I kind of like to zoom in and out to kind of see the difference. This feature here is the hair volume, and I love this. I live in the South, and we love big hair here, and sometimes you get people that don't have really a lot of volume to their hair, and so this can really help fill them out and give them a little bit extra. Keeps their hair from looking flat. So as you can see, you can already tell what a big difference that is. She has very nice eyes here, but if there's some people when they smile, they just don't have a whole lot of eyes there, and we want to bring those eyes out. So widening would help those. So if we widen these eyes, then they're going to be really big. So we don't want to do that. But this will adjust her mouth shape, and these are pretty self-explanatory. Plump the lips a little, and even do your nose and taper the nose. The neck is another that I like because it helps bring that chin up, and you can even bring the head forward a little and do a little lens correction. So that's really what your facial sculpt does. It allows you to sculpt the features a little bit. You don't want to sculpt them so much that you don't recognize who the photo is, but we do sometimes want a little taper. I have a really full face, and in photos I tend to look a lot bigger than I am, so I like my face a little tapered. Okay, the second area is skin smoothing, and I do want to show you this. I can actually turn off each one of these features and on here, so if I wanted to go back up, I could actually turn off those, and it would turn her back to her original photo, or I can turn them back on. So you can do these one at a time. So skin smoothing, we're going to get kind of a little closer so we can kind of see. So if I want to smooth around her eyes, like if she had bags or something like this, you would smooth around her eyes a little bit. And I tend to do that anyways. I think it just gives a very young, youthful appearance. We can adjust her imperfections, or fine shadows or wrinkles. I find that if you remove pores too much, you can tell here she looks very doll-like. So I generally do not use that one very much. I do like to sharpen. Give a little bit of clarity to your image. And she has very nice eyebrows, but if we needed to, we could trim them some. And you can tell, like, around where the fullest part of her eyebrow is, it's getting a little thinner. Clamp around her mouth a little. And then it even allows you to adjust the skin texture here, allowing you to give keep that rough appearance. And this plus 35 and 50, that's age. So it just allows you to really determine how rough or smooth you want their skin to be. Okay, so I'm going to step aside over here to a minute. So she's got just a little bit of imperfection here. If I want to just touch that up and not go through all the controls, I can go up here to touch up, and I can adjust the size of my brush and the strength, and I can just go there and click. And that's gone immediately. So this is looking really good. We're going to go to skin and lighting. And this one's one that can be a little bit tricky if you're not used to using this program. The program is very simple to use. I use it even with Photoshop, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But this is the lighting control. And let me zoom out so you can kind of see how this affects her face. And it allows you to put that lighting, and you can stretch it to make her really bright, or give it a really far off look. So where you'll start seeing the difference here is there is a mode here that says contrast, and then one that says modeling. So if I pull this modeling one, you're going to start seeing a difference. You can see where underneath her chin is a little lighter. If I stay on this side, if I go to this side, it's going to give her a little more shadow under her chin, and it just brings it all together just beautifully. So this is really a program about taste. That contrast will make that light a little smaller, and you can start seeing the difference here. Like she looks very much like a doll there. So I'll go there. I can fix lighting here. So if I had taken the picture and the lighting wasn't good, this would allow me to adjust it and fix. With this particular photo, I used a monolight, so the lighting was very good and even tone. But if I had taken this photo, say outside with no lighting, this would allow me to adjust this. And this would adjust her cheekbones, give her a little more definition there if we wanted that. The left and right shadow will create a shadow on that side of the face. So the left corresponds with the left side of the face. The right corresponds with the right side of the face. So if we go left, you'll start seeing a darkening on the left-hand side. If we go right, you'll start seeing a darkening more on the right-hand side. This can help to give you that more of an even skin appearance if the lighting was too bright on one side. Then you have the left kick. We'll bring that in, and that actually brings light in on that side, and right kick brings light in on the other side. You have smoky eyes. So if we pull this up, you'll notice around her eyes is getting a little darker, a little more moody. And I find with women, when you wear makeup, sometimes when it looks great in the bathroom, then when you get under those lights, sometimes your eyeshadow the colors aren't pulling the way that you want them to, and this helps to fix that. This helps give you a pout, gives you a little bit of shadow up underneath the bottom of your lip, which helps make it look like you've got a little bit of a pouty. And this one is for sculpting your nose. So if you were a little self-conscious about your nose and you wanted a little bit tinier or have those shadows to give you a smaller appearance of the nose, that would be what that was for. And your skin color. Skin color is if you have a color, like a photo, and the skin color is just a little bit off, or you want to give them more of a tanned appearance, this is where you would come. So you can see where it says baby skin. There are all of these lovely options here, and you have things like tan and studio and nightclub, neutral, even an outside moon glow that just helps you adjust the color of their skin. So if we went tan and we went, it's going to give her a little brighter appearance. I can adjust the temperature and the tint. If I went this way, it's going to be really white. If I go this way, it's going to be really, really dark. And one thing when you're messing with the skin, there's a section up here that says View Edit Skin Mask. So if we click on that, it's going to show us everything that these features are going to affect. So if we go in and we can actually add to this, let's see, because that's skin. And you can even take parts off if you don't want them. And then push OK. And you can start seeing where this is affecting her skin tone, just based on how much you add and if you adjust any of the other sliders here. So let's go to another one. Let's do Peach Blush. And if we pull it all the way up, it's going to affect it. But just something subtle is really what you're looking for, something very natural, unless you're doing a photo that is like a doll or something like that. Give me just a second. Alrighty. All right, and that actually looks pretty good. Let's just go back up here and just kind of zoom in and look. That's very close to her natural skin tone. It's a little bit yellow for me. I think I want to go back down to the tans and maybe even pull this up just a hair. I think I actually like it a little more on the pinker side, so I'm going to pull it the other way. And if you get that too far, like with me, it was a little farther than I wanted, I can use my arrow keys and go back and adjust it down some. And I'm going to minimize this one because I just like to keep everything nice and neat. And the next section is makeup. Makeup is wonderful. It's subjective, but if you had someone that had, for example, that you were trying to do something artistic and the color lipstick that they chose or their eyeshadow just did not work, this would be where you would want to go. So the first one we're going to look at is lipstick. So we're going to go to our lipstick. And I like to kind of turn it up so that I can see it. And you can tell there's textures here. So I want you to have a look at her lips in the original on the left and then on the right. And I'm going to flip through the textures. And you can see some bring more of a glossy look, some more of a matte, and some more kind of in the middle. So I generally like the one, I like one, but I also like four, either one, because I like to bring that light into their lips. It helps bring the photo together for me. After the texture, you'll see this box, this color box here. You can pick any color, and as long as your outlines here are on her lips correctly, it will look good. And it's actually a little bit high right here. I can see it now because it's pulling to her teeth. So I want to kind of pull that down just a hair. Because I don't want that on her teeth if I can help it. I need to kind of zoom in a little bit more and get a little closer. And I can see there that it's actually a little bit above her lip. But a lot of this software is just making sure you get your lines lined up correctly, because if you don't, you're going to have problems. So that's the easiest thing I can tell you, is make sure your lines are lined up. And this one's still a little bit off. And if you're not sure, sometimes I let them go, and then if I notice it, then I'll fix it. Okay. So you can pick any lip color you want, and that looks like that's the color she was wearing that day. And I can adjust this. If I go to the right, it's going to make the colors a little brighter. If I go to the left, it's going to make them darker. So if I pick one of these, you can tell now that her lipstick is darker. But if I go, say, here, I could actually make her lipstick a little more pink or oranges. So let's zoom back into her face. That's actually pretty close to the color she's wearing. So let's go a little more pink on her. The next is mascara. And I love the fact that they have so many options under the mascara. For me, that is absolutely wonderful. As a woman, there are a lot of styles I like to try, but not always what works for me. So, I'll go hide. Okay, so in the mascara, we're going to turn this up. But she's got a beautiful mascara on as it is. But you have false lashes for those ladies that don't wear false lashes because you can't get them to attach. And then you have a bold, which gives it a little more darker, like a little more eyeliner to it. A very light application, a medium application, or a very thick application. And again, it's going to be determined by what you pick on the slider here. If I go all the way up, it's going to be real heavy, especially since I use that thick one. But I do like the bold. Now, the softness underneath is going to determine. Let me show you how this looks if I get really, really, really close. It allows you to, well, the softness is going to determine how sharp they are. So if I move that around, you can tell that the ends get a little more sharp. It's a little harder to tell in her eyelashes because she's got so many. But if I go to the right, it's going to get less sharp, and to the left, it's very, very sharp. And I don't want them that sharp. I want them to blend pretty good with hers. So I'm going to do about 19. And then it says nudge upper lash. So sometimes you may need to adjust them, like it's just not lining up with her lashes. So if I push this, you can see that it comes down a little bit. And then it allows you to even nudge the lower lash. It allows you to keep a texture or not. And you, like I said, you just want this to enhance, not to overcome. She's already beautiful. So we don't want it to be overwhelming. So I'm going to take this back down. So I just wanted to show you how that worked. So as you can start telling, the face is looking more finished. It's looking a little more professional. And this is not taking forever to edit. It's taking me a little longer today because I'm trying to explain it all to you. Okay, so upper eyeshadow. Let's touch on that. On the upper eyeshadow, we can do so many things. It's got so many different finishes. It's got a matte, a semi-matte, and a shimmer. And we'll just stick with the matte. And then it's got shape. And it's got all kinds of shape for however you do your makeup. And then you can adjust the color just like we did on the lipstick. So if I wanted to bring a little more light in, I would go to the right. And let's just pull that out. That's a little too bright for my taste. Which I can always turn this down here and kind of make it blend a little more. So if I wanted a little more pinks in her eyes instead of the browns that she has, I would do that. But you can go up and change this and kind of see how it affects her makeup. Just kind of flip through them and see what works for the model that you have. And I kind of like that one. It's very similar to what she has. But it allows me to kind of change her makeup a little bit. To make it more, I can even do bright colors, just so you know. Makes it a little easier to see, I guess, if I do the bright colors. Okay, let's go down. Oh, this was the other thing. I totally forgot this. You can adjust the shine of her eyeshadow. So, however you want that. And then your inner opacity, which makes it lighter or keeps it dark. I like mine a little bit lighter. And then the outer opacity, which allows it to be dark or light, and you just change that as you want it. I generally like mine a little bit darker towards the edges. And then you have lower eyeshadow, which I'm just barely going to touch on because it's a lot of the same thing that we just touched on. So, inner corner. And that's if you wanted to change it. And there's where you can see where it's changing now. I changed it to a brighter color so you can really tell where that's touching on. And I've got it on the inner corner. If I change that, it's going to be different. And I'll just kind of flip through those so that you can see what exactly this affects. And that smoky is absolutely beautiful with a black or a really dark color. So let's do the smoky. And I'm going to bring mine down because I kind of want it, but I don't want it that dark. More like this. All right. And then we can do eyeliner. Eyeliner has a lot of options. There's liquid line, cat eye, thick cat eye. And it allows you to adjust those. You can do all kinds of things with the liner. If we turn that all the way up, you can really see it. And it even allows you to adjust the opacity on that. It's not something I really mess with a lot unless I have somebody that's got spotty eyeliner or something like that. I might adjust it some. But if you want the eyes to kind of pop, that really kind of helps some. All right, the next thing is blusher. So this is your blush, ladies. It allows you to change it just like before. It gives you shapes for your face. So this is those that have a heart shape, oval shape, round shape, or square shape. So she's got more of I would say more of a heart shape. And then I would pick the color that I wanted. And then I could adjust it here. And as you can tell, it can get really dark. So that's why I say it's very easy to make people look like dolls with this. Then you have your bronzer. And this is going to give that darker because you can tell she already looks so much darker just turning that bronzer on. Would you go in it like that? And if I was going to do it, I would just do a little bit of dimension, and I wouldn't do such a dark color because this is where all it's affecting. We don't want anything that dark. Maybe something a little more like this because that gives it a little more natural look to it, and I would even probably turn it down a little. Not a big difference, but it is there. Highlighter is the exact same. I don't want anything that bright. Let me turn that down just a hair. And then eyebrow pencil is to fill in your eyebrows. So let's zoom in a little bit there. And with her eyebrows are dark. And this will just darken them up. And you can even adjust them independently, like left, right. And that's basically for the angle that you're taking the image in. So let's zoom out a little bit. Alrighty. And then we go to the eyes. And the eyes is something that this is really going to help your image pop. I love it. And this is one that helps you clean your eyes. Gets rid of all those little red veins. Whiten your eyes a little bit. The whites of the eyes. We don't want to make her look like like a ghost or anything. And then you can have one that'll darken the pupil, the center pupil. Like in this one, you can see I got some highlights and reflections in hers. We can sharpen the eyes. Sharpen those eyebrows to give them back their little texture. And you can brighten the iris. So you can make her eyes very demon-like real quick. Or you can make them look very, very natural and beautiful. So just be careful with this one. If you wanted to change the eye color, it's not something that I do real often, but if you wanted to, it has a contact lens here and you can change this. It has blue, brown, green, hazel, and you don't want the opacity for your lens that big. But if you look on the left, she has brown eyes. If you look on the right, she has more of a hazel color. It even allows you to adjust the contact lens size so that you can line it up correctly with her eyes. And it looks very natural. So let's zoom out. And I would actually take that down just a hair more because I think it looks a little bit off. But if you zoom in, and this is also great for enhancing eyes. You can get the lighting just right. This really helps. Then you have the add the eyelid. And that actually changes. It's great for people with hooded eyes. You can change the reflection opacity. You can even add your own reflection. So if you took pictures of someone and for some reason there was no reflection, you just didn't have a good light there, you could actually add lights into their eyes to make it look more natural. And mouth and nose. So on this, we can go to whitening her teeth. There's one that says clean teeth. And then there's a lip saturation. So if I turn it down, you just get a little whiter. If I turn it up, it gets a little pinker. And there's one to darken the lips. Or to lighten. Kind of like where they're at. Lip contrast. Again, same thing. It just changes the contrast. You can sharpen the mouth. We don't want it that sharp. You can sharpen the teeth. Don't want them that sharp either. Nose contrast, you could moisten the lips a little. So if you want to bring a little moisture into her lips, that's what you would do. And you can even change the hue of her lips here. All right. And hair. If we wanted to recolor her hair. Okay, so this is the View and Edit hair mask. And this is kind of like the skin box that we were discussing. So you would go to View and Edit. And we want to make sure that her hair is all in there. So not you recolor it and you're going to have spots that aren't colored. We want to just make sure we got a good color in here. And I can take the brush size down and that really kind of helps. Alrighty. All right. So if I wanted to change her hair color, I could change it. Like hair color amount is going to change it. And I could just flip through. And go to, I like to go to kind of a similar color. And as you can tell, on the left, her hair is black. And on the right, her hair is more of a brown. I can even adjust the shine. So she keeps that shine. I can lighten it or even darken it here. So if there's a certain color, I can even give it a little more red or a little less. And even make your vibrance up. So it gives you the chance to really play with it. And her hair is darker, so it will look really strange for me to go like to a blonde or something like that, because her hair is naturally so dark. So if I went blonde or something like that, it would really adjust the image and make it look a little off. So if I was going to adjust her hair color, which I wouldn't, but if I was going to, I would keep it like a brown or even in the black family. It still looks natural. It fits with her eyebrows and things like that. We wouldn't want to make it something weird. But I'm going to turn this one off because it's not something that I care to use on this. But let's touch on the hair tidying mode. So if I go to hair tidying mode, let this pull up. I can fill the hair shadows. You can see them kind of disappear here. And I can smooth her hair. And it almost looks, if you go all the way up like this, it almost makes her hair look like a painting. It's beautiful, but we don't want to go anything like that. We want to keep a little bit of texture to her hair. But it does give it a little bit tidier of an appearance. And let you see. And I'm going to turn that one off because I actually don't want that one on there. And then this one is your picture mode. And this adjusts the entire picture as a whole. So we could change the temperature of the image if we wanted to make it a little cooler or a little warmer. We can do the tint, the exposure, the brightness, a smart contrast, a vibrance, which we would never call that way, but yes, a vibrance, a tonal curve, and you can even do a vignette on this. So let's zoom out. I can do a vignette, and I like the way that this one is set up. It allows you to offset your horizontal and your vertical. I'm actually vibrance a little much there. So I can adjust the radius, the small or big, and then it even allows me to adjust it left or right in case she's not necessarily in the middle of the image, and I can adjust it top to bottom and determine how hard or how soft that I want that light. So if I wanted it really, really harsh and I made it small, it'd be very easier for you to see. Or if I didn't, and I want to go the other way, it would be very soft and very hard to see. And again, your vignette is going to be adjusted by this top slider. So if you take that down, it's really going to adjust it. So and I actually want to bring this back up a little bit more towards her face. Okay. Alrighty. And layers. This one creates a background mask and allows you to add overlays. And again, a lot of this is going to be making sure that you get your selections correct. Like there's a selection here that needs to be filled. And we don't want that. I've actually added instead of subtracting, so we should just subtract that out. And like all of this, and let it catch up. And that's too much. So I can go back and just do away with this. And I need to adjust the size of my brush, obviously. But just as a quick, this is going to work for what we want. Just her hand a little bit more. And her shirt here. There we go. This will work. So we're going to push next. And then it's going to add, and see, I can add a gradient to it. And then it puts it in layers, so it allows me to adjust it. So add a background image layer, select the image, and they do have some background images that are built into this program just to give you something to kind of work with. So if I wanted to do something like this, I can adjust this, you know, so that if I need to pull it up or pull it down, or if I wanted to angle it more, that I could. So if I wanted a little more like this. And I can adjust the opacity if I wanted to lay one image over the other, which we don't want to be able to see the other one if we're going to do this. And push OK. And I missed a spot here, I can tell now. So I could go back to that layer. I need to pull it down some more. And I really kind of want to keep a little more of the greenery behind her. I like the way that looks. Okay. And push OK. And now if you go in and look, you can tell that there's some places that it's just not, it's not really what I wanted. But you can see from one image to the next. And if you wanted, you could start turning these off to kind of see where you need to adjust. And on this one, I think is the one that needs to be adjusted some, and it's the lighting. The model lighting is a little bit much. So now I can go back and see where exactly what exactly I need to fix. And I think this hand needs to come down, or maybe just not be there. So let's go back out. And that's absolutely beautiful. So this is, I mean, it's just all about what you want to do. You can use your presets and go that way if you wanted. I could even save this one for adult female faces. And it's going to add it there. So if I reset it to the original, it's going to add a little more. And I can even go back and adjust these as needed. I think I want to bring her shape of her face back out a little. And there you go. So when I get done with this, I can just save it and move on to another image. All right, and I just want to touch on an image that has multiple faces in it. Trying to find one that I know. I've got multiple people in. And there's a reason behind it. I want to show you how to switch to which face you want to edit. And if you've watched my 2017 video, we really touched on that. But for those of you that are new, that have never used Portrait Pro, this is very important. So let's just pull an image and look at it and go from there. Which I'm not going to go through all the controls and settings again, just because I feel like at this point you understand how that works. They're pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so when it pulls up multiple people, it's going to say female, male, child under 12 years old. Female, male, child under 12 years old. So click on the face that you want to work with. So let's just do hers right quick. We're not going to really adjust their face as much. I just want to be able to show you how to switch in between the two. And this does do batch editing. So if you have a whole session and you want to edit all of them, this is really the way to go. And this isn't as great of a photo as the other one that I showed you. But like I said, this is just basically I want to show you how to. So if we wanted to adjust hers, and we didn't want to do any lighting, we just wanted to do our no sculpting, this is how we would do it. You could do something similar to the other one. It's not the same, but you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you want to go to the other face in the image, so we wanted to adjust the child's face, what we would do is go to the, where it's got the little man up there, and we could go to her face and push continue. But this one has a lot of new features that 17 didn't have that I really like. And so you can see here, I can do the same thing with her and reset it to the original. So you can kind of see. And I can go through and I can even adjust some of it here if I want to do it one at a time. So if I want to set it back to original and just do, say, lighting and skin coloring. And these only affect the lighting and skin coloring under this section. Or if I wanted to do one that just affects her makeup or her eyes. So that would do that. And then when you save it, it's going to save both. And I remember this day, and like with this one, I didn't particularly care for her lipstick, so I could go through and actually change that for her, because it was just a little much for me. She loved it. But I could even adjust that and change that to a color that I felt was a little bit better for her skin tone. As long as my lines are all lined up. So this is Portrait Pro 18. Now I'm gonna flip over to Photoshop right quick because I just want to show you that the plugins that this Studio Max has, it does go over. So if we go into our Photoshop and we pull up an image and we go down to Filter, go to Anthropics and do Portrait Pro, and it will pull this up, and it'll do it all through Photoshop. When you get ready to save it, it will actually pull it back into Photoshop if you have some other adjustments and stuff that you need to do on the photo. And it works exactly the same way. So if you're in the middle of doing it and you're like, oh, I should put this through Portrait Pro, this is where this comes in handy because you can just go ahead and do it all at once. And that was the edit we saved for her a while ago. Or like I said, we can adjust them which her face is a little bit different, the lighting there. But yes, it works exactly the same. So it's just about what you're looking for in a program. But this one really has it. It's a very professional suite. If you haven't checked out some of their other programs, and I think I've done some videos on those as well, you definitely should. They have a smart photo editor. They have a body shape editor, which is wonderful if you need to thin the body lines or make them a little bit bigger or thin those arms. Those are absolutely amazing and priceless. The other one is a landscape editor, and it helps make those landscape images pop. Anthropics really makes a software for everyone. So if you haven't checked out their software, you really should go and give it a try. And they have a lot of combination packages now that are for photographers and things like that. So it's definitely worth looking into. But thank you so much. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below or join us over on my Teach Me to Color group on Facebook. If you want me to do a video on something else, please just let me know. Y'all have a wonderful night.